These are the aerial views of the drought-stricken Somalia, one of the 4 countries facing starvation and famine. On the ground, more than half of the country's population is said to be in need of urgent humanitarian assistance. And the United Nations organization says it has never been this desperate since the Second World War.
We are facing the largest humanitarian crisis since the creation of the United Nations. Now, more than 20 million people across 4 countries face starvation and famine. Without collective and coordinated global efforts, people will simply starve to death.
And the evidence is overwhelming. Desperation in Yemen, victims of the Boko Haram insurgency in northern Nigeria, consequences of a bitter civil war in South Sudan, and the rising death toll in Somalia, made worse by a cholera outbreak. The UN says the 4 countries have one thing in common: conflict, making humanitarian intervention both difficult and dangerous.
The famine in South Sudan is man-made. The parties to the conflict are parties to the famine. Recently, humanitarians had to leave one of the famine-affected counties because of fighting. Assurances by senior government officials of unconditional access and no bureaucratic impediments now need to be turned into action on the ground. Already, the humanitarian suffering that we see in Yemen today is caused by the parties and proxies, and if they don't change their behaviour now, they must be held accountable for the inevitable famine, unnecessary deaths, and associated amplification in suffering that will follow.
But all that is not enough to make the UN give up on trying to help.
We're ready, despite the incredible risks and danger. We have local and international leadership. We have a lot of access. Now we need the international community.
And that's the call to the nations of the world and aid agencies who are being asked to chip in with more than $4 billion to help stop the looming disaster. Mari Beveridge, Arise News.